In this exercise, we will be defining our own functions. The first question is asking us to define a function mask that takes a string and returns star repeated as many times as the length of the string. For instance, masking this number will result in this value here. So to define a function, we need to use the def keyword and then the name of the function which has been given to us. Next, we need to list the parameters here. And it looks like this function takes only one parameter, which is the text we want to mask. So I'm going to type in the parameter name as text. Again, it's up to me to name it, but I just chose a meaningful name here. So next, I want to convert the value, this one, to this one. Here I need to think about the conversion steps. How do I create something that looks like this, starting from any text that I get? Well, so a first step is to basically return this fixed value, which is the number of stars, meaning if I pass in any text, anything, for instance, hi, I'm gonna get 5 stars. But the question is asking us to repeat the number of stars as many as to be equals to be the length of the string, the length of the text. So instead of doing this, I'm going to repeat the star as many times as the length of the text. So I'm going to have another variable, length of the text, to be equal to len text. And then I'm going to have another variable called result, will be lt times 1 star. Now don't forget that if you multiply a number with a string, you get the string repeated in Python, and then at the end of the day I'm going to return result. If I mask hi, I get 2 star. If I mask hi there, I'm gonna get 7 star, as many stars are as needed. Okay, so next the question is asking us to use a lambda expression to define the function. So don't forget, in a lambda expression, you're limited to one expression. So you have to write your function in one line. The function itself has to start with a lambda keyword. Obviously it doesn't have a name, but I have assigned it to a variable mask. So we can refer to this function with the name mask again. It will take one parameter, which is text. Now here is the expression. You only have one opportunity to write only one expression that returns the value of the function. And notice we don't use the keyword return. The value of the expression will be the return value of the function. So I don't have the luxury of writing 3 separate lines here. I need to write one line. So I'm going to condense what I wrote before in one line. I'm going to return length of text times 1 star. Okay, so that's basically the same function. And if I do mask on here, I get as many stars as the length of the text. Next, we're being asked to make the function more featureful. So we want to add an optional parameter called the masking character. By default, this parameter is a star, but the user can now provide their own masking parameters if they wish. Now once we have optional parameters, we have to use the def keyword. The lambda expression will not be helpful here. The lambda expression is not designed to be to take optional parameters and all of the features of the regular function. So I'm going to copy my old function. I'm going to modify it. Once again, if I run the code, it's going to override the previous code. So I'm going to keep the same name, text. I'm going to add the masking character here. And because this one is an optional, has an optional value of a star, I'm going to make it here, the optional value is star. Okay, next I'm going to replace a star with masking character. So the idea that if there is nothing passed, it will be a star, otherwise it will be whatever we pass here. So let's take a look at mask. Let's do mask, top secret password, and it's going to be stars. But if I provide my masking character to be a pound, it will be all pounds, for instance. The last question is asking us to define a function isNumber that takes a string and returns true if the string is one word that contains a number, defined as having all characters or digits, or a dash. Okay. So here we need to examine each one of the characters in our in whatever we're passing to the function, and the parameter isNumber if all of them are either numbers, digits meaning, or a dash. Now, in order to fulfill this, implement this function, I would like to introduce you to a function in the string data type called isNumeric. So let's say we have a string and this string is a bunch of numbers. How do we know that this string is a number? There is a function called isNumeric, and this function will return either true or false depending on whether this can convert to a number. For instance, if you have AD here, this will be false, right? And the idea here is that you can test whether it's numeric. If it's numeric, you can convert it to an integer or a float. If it's not, it will not convert. So if I try to convert S1 to an integer, I'm gonna get an error here because it doesn't convert. But if it's a numeric, if it's an integer here, it will convert. So we can use the function isNumeric to determine whether this string is a number or not. Now there is a wrinkle here, and the wrinkle here is that I'm allowing for a dash, with the idea that probably I'm testing for 4 numbers. So the moment you have a dash here, isNumeric will be false. So we need to use isNumeric, but we want also to account for the fact that dash may be part of the string, but we want to still count it as a number. So what I'm going to do, I'm going then, before using the function isNumeric, to replace the dash with something else. What probably makes sense is to replace the dash with a number or just replace it with an empty string. Well, the idea is that I want to ignore the dash completely. So what I want to do, I will replace my dash here with an empty string. It basically will mean that the dash is no longer there, and then I can call the function isNumeric again. So I can do S2 equals to that, and then S2 isNumeric will be true. Or I can simply chain the operations. I can do S1 dot replace this one, and then dot isNumeric, and that will be true. Okay. So I need to combine 2 functions. Combining multiple functions in another function is a very important concept in programming called composition. You're kind of composing a larger piece of functionality by combining smaller pieces of functions. Okay, so let's now isolate this code, this kind of scribble here in a function. I want to define a function called isNumeric, and this function will take one word as a parameter. Again, the name of the parameter is up to me. So what I'm doing here, simply speaking, is repeating this. I'm going to return, simply speaking, word dot replace a dash with an empty string, and then I use the function isNumeric. Once I have my function here, it's ready for prime time. I can do isNumeric, for instance, this number, and it will be true. isNumeric AB3234, and it will be false. So again, being able to define the function requires 2 things: understanding the syntax of creating a function and all of the building blocks that we need to have, the def keyword, the function name, the parameters, and the body of the function using the return statement. But even most importantly, figuring out the sequence of steps that takes us from the input to the output. And the sequence of steps is commonly referred to as algorithm in programming lingo. So figuring out the algorithm that takes us from input to output.